Welcome to Lively Lewis Stories.
Buckle up, because you're about to join Levi and Ivy on an adventure.
All you need is your imagination, and off we go!
Lively Lewis Stories!
Hey there, awesome friends.
Guess what?
We're super thrilled to share some exciting news with you.
We've got our very own Lively Lewis merchandise.
Woohoo! Grab your parents and head over to livelylewisshop.com or simply click on the link below in our show notes.
Now, let's dive into today's story.
It's me, Ivy!
That's right. Ivy's going to help me with this story today. Hey, Ivy, should we start out with some shout outs?
Yeah!
Okay, good idea. Let's take a look.
Hi, Annabelle. And hi, Lena.
Wyatt and Jude, thank you so much for your idea submissions. Thank you, Ellie and Lydia. And Briley Ann.
Thanks, Mia.
Lila and Lenore, thanks so much for your comments. Now let's jump into today's story. Do you know how much ice cream $1,000 can buy, Ivy? Asked Levi, tying his shoes by the front door. Hey, Ivy, how much ice cream do you think you could get for $1,000?
81,000.
81,000 ice creams? Whew. A lot, I guess, but you'll never get to find out because I'll be taking that grand prize home today, smiled Ivy as she grabbed her coat. And I'll be using my $1,000 to buy some new toys. Maybe if you're lucky, I'll let you share them with me. Maybe. Hey, Ivy, do you think you would share your toys with your brother?
Yeah.
Oh, good choice. That's kind. Levi and Ivy were headed out that day to an escape room at their mall. They both love solving riddles, but they also like the thought of winning $1,000. Would you want to win $1,000?
Yeah.
What would you buy with it?
A candy?
Just one candy?
Yeah. No, 1,000 candy.
Oh, that's a lot of candy. And it just so happened that the escape room was holding their annual contest. Whoever solved all the riddles in the time allotted and escaped the room first would take home $1,000 in cash. Levi and Ivy had been there many times before, and they knew they could win the money. But greed took over a bit, and instead of trying to work together to win, they decided they wanted to compete against each other. May the best riddle solver win, said Levi as he jumped in the backseat with Ivy. Why, thank you. I will, laughed Ivy as she stared out the window. Now, please don't talk to me on the way to the escape room. I am trying to prepare my brain for all the riddles I'll be solving, and I need complete silence. Good luck with that, said Levi. You'll need all the luck you can get when I start solving those riddles left and right. It was only a short drive, and as soon as their dad parked the car, Levi and Ivy jumped out. We'll see you after I win the escape room contest, called out Ivy. Don't you mean after I win? Called back Levi, running toward the escape room entrance. Hey, Ivy, do you think you could win an escape room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think makes it that you'd be able to win?
I know, 'cause I go fast.
Oh, that's true. You do have to go fast, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so good luck to the both of you, I guess, said their dad, sounding a bit confused. I thought they were doing this thing together. I guess not. He was going to wait in the mall until the contest was over, so he headed in hoping that whatever happened, they would both come out happy at the end. Hey, Ivy.
What?
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's better for them to work together or work separately?
Work together.
That's right. I think you're right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ernie's Extraordinary Escape Room, said the owner of the escape room, Ernie Riddle. I'm so happy to see so many people here today to try and win our giant $1,000 escape room prize. The money is as good as mine, whispered Levi to Ivy. I was reading a riddle book all last night before bed. There's not one riddle that old Ernie could get by me today. Well, your silly riddle books are no match for my super fast mind, replied Ivy. While you're still reading the first riddle, I'll be collecting my prize money. Levi and Ivy were too busy arguing to pay attention as Ernie continued to talk. Because of all their squabbling, they didn't hear him say it was time to begin. They continued to argue until they finally noticed they were the only two left in the waiting area. Uh-oh. That's probably not good, huh? Should you guys have been paying attention to what Ernie was saying?
Yeah.
You're right. I think you two will have a better chance of winning the escape room contest if you actually go into the escape room, laughed Ernie. Good luck. Levi and Ivy rushed toward their rooms as Ernie closed the doors behind them and the other competitors. In the waiting room, they saw who they were up against. A few kids from their school, a few teenagers, and an adult or two. But one person in particular caught their eye. It was Mr. Grimsby. He owns the hardware store in town, and he was always in a bad mood. They knew he would be there because he was always complaining about not having enough money to make repairs to his store anytime they were in with their dad. They knew he would be a good competitor because all he did was complete riddle books as he sat in the hardware store and waited for customers. He even worked on riddle books when customers were in the store and needed help. Like I said, he wasn't the nicest guy around, but Levi and Ivy couldn't worry about him anymore. There was a $1,000 prize to collect. Each competitor was in their own escape room with all the same riddles. Some people chose to work with friends, and that was fine. But Levi and Ivy were on their own. So was Mr. Grimsby. The first riddle that Levi and Ivy got was, what goes up a chimney, but not down a chimney? Levi jumped on this one right away as he had seen it in the riddle book the night before. It's And just before he blurted out the answer, he stopped. Even though Ivy was in a different room, he didn't want to chance her hearing him, and he ran off to find his second riddle in silence. But Ivy wasn't lying before. She had a very quick mind and figured out the answer just after Levi ran off.
It's umbrella.
It's an umbrella, she thought to herself. She then ran over to the umbrella stand in the room and found the next riddle. It was a number sentence. You had to answer 3 questions with a number. Then those 3 numbers would be used to unlock a lock for the next clue. Levi and Ivy didn't particularly love math, but they were both pretty good at it. However, they would have been a lot better if they had been together. I can't believe I'm saying this, whispered Levi to himself. I wish Ivy was here. He had already tried the lock twice and couldn't get it open. And just as he was wishing that Ivy was with him, little did he know, but she was doing the same thing. Ivy tried the lock a 3rd time after getting 3 different numbers and still couldn't get it open. I bet if Levi was here, we would have had this lock open by now, thought Ivy. It was just then that she saw Ernie Riddle looking through the window of her escape room. Levi was right next door to her, and she could tell that he knew they were both struggling. He knew Levi and Ivy since they had been going to his escape rooms for quite a while. He also knew that they usually worked together and that maybe the cash prize had made them want to work apart. He didn't like how that made him feel and knew by the looks on their faces that they needed each other now more than ever. So he made a split-second decision. Ernie popped his head into Levi's escape room and asked him the same question he had just asked Ivy. Hey, Levi, would you like to work with your sister Ivy moving forward today? Asked Ernie. I think it's more important for you two to work as a team than to try and beat each other for the money. You're brother and sister. That's more important than $1,000. Levi was interested in this offer and asked if Ivy was too. But Ernie didn't even have to answer because Ivy ran right through the escape room door and gave Levi a big hug. Does that make you happy?
Yeah.
Are you guys better as a team?
Yeah.
If you said you didn't want to team up with me today, I would have been so sad, said Ivy. I'm sorry I let the thought of winning all that money get in the way of us just having fun like we always do. I know, Ivy. I'm so sorry too, replied Levi, hugging her back. What do you say we don't waste any more time and we win this escape room challenge? Ivy nodded her head as Ernie smiled and closed the door to their escape room. The two could hear Mr. Grimsby in the next room gloating about how he was already on riddle number 3 and how easy it was. Ivy, did you solve the lock riddle yet? Asked Levi. I didn't, but I know that together we can, replied Ivy with a smile. They read out the number sentences together, helping each other along the way. Found where they had been making mistakes before, and just like that, the lock popped open and they were on to riddle number
3.
The next riddle was a physical challenge, and they had to hop from one side of the room to the next, but always had to be in the same color tile as they always had to step on a different tile color as they went. Okay, so we can go to the red tile first, began Ivy, then to blue, green, and yellow. No, Ivy, we can't do that. We can't go from a green tile to another green tile, explained Levi as they tried again to map out their journey to the other side of the room. How about if we make a huge jump from the green tile to that orange tile, suggested Levi. If you think we can make it, I think we can make it, said Ivy with a smile, putting all her trust in her big brother. They leapt and soared through the air and each landed perfectly on the orange tile and claimed their next riddle. I would have never thought to make that leap, said Ivy. Great thinking. Thanks, said Levi, feeling really proud. The next riddle was another word one, and they both gathered around a little table to read it out loud. John's dad has 3 sons. Their names are Mike, Bob, and what's the name of the other son? Levi stared at the riddle for a little while before saying, Do you know anyone named John? How are we supposed to know what this guy's kids' names are? Ivy just relaxed and tried to focus her mind. Sometimes, Levi, the answer to the riddle is in the riddle, said Ivy as she read the riddle again. That's it! John! The answer is John! Levi looked down and instantly got it. Of course, if it's John's dad, John would be the 3rd son. Brilliant, Ivy, said Levi. They then had to find the letters J-O-H-N on the ABC cards on the table, and each of them had a number on it to use on another lock. When they opened that lock, they could hear Mr. Grimsby in the other room having trouble with the riddle. And at that moment, they remembered how they felt when they were all alone in their escape rooms before Ernie thought to bring them back together. All of a sudden, the money didn't mean that much anymore, and they offered Mr. Grimsby a little bit of help. Mr. Grimsby, it's Levi and Ivy, said Ivy. Remember, sometimes the answer to the riddle is in the riddle. There were a few moments of silence, and then they heard the lock open, and Mr. Grimsby says, It's John! Thank you! From that moment on, they worked as a team to help each other. Ernie Riddle's voice could be heard over the loudspeaker in all the escape rooms, telling the contestants that the only people still playing for the crash prize were Mr. Grimsby, Levi, and Ivy. The other rooms had dropped out since they weren't able to answer the riddles in the time allotted for each one. Levi and Ivy knew they were close to winning, and so was Mr. Grimsby. They knew they wanted that money, but so did Mr. Grimsby. It all came down to one final riddle. What is yours, but mostly used by others? There was silence all through both escape rooms. This one was particularly difficult for both Levi and Ivy as well as Mr. Grimsby. Hey, Ivy, do you think you have an answer for what that riddle is? What is yours, but mostly used by others? Any idea?
No.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Should we find out?
Yeah.
Mr. Grimsby, how are you doing? Called out Levi. Not great, Levi and Ivy. How are you doing? Called back Mr. Grimsby. This is a tough one, said Ivy, thinking hard for a moment and then suddenly looking as if she had an answer, and so did Levi. But what they didn't know was Mr. Grimsby also had the same look on his face in the next escape room. Then all at once, Ernie Riddle heard all 3 voices say together, The answer is your name! That is correct, called out Ernie Riddle over the loudspeaker and opened the doors to both escape rooms at the same time. Well, I can't believe this, but I think we have a good old-fashioned tie on our hands. What should we do about this? Mr. Grimsby had his usual frown on his face, not knowing what the outcome of the tie would be. But what happened next certainly left Levi and Ivy scratching their heads. I think the kids should get the money, said Mr. Grimsby. They showed such great teamwork, and that's what's really important, not the cash. Wow, thank you, Mr. Grimsby. But Levi and I think we should all split the prize money, said Ivy. You did just as good a job as we did, and you were all by yourself. Wow. Why, thank you, Ivy. Do you really mean it? Asked Mr. Grimsby. A little extra money could really help with some repairs I need to do around my store. Absolutely, Levi and Ivy said together. And just as they said that, their dad stepped over to them. I heard that whole thing, he said with a look of pride in his face. I'm so proud of both of you. 1, for working together today and valuing your relationship more than money. And 2, for helping Mr. Grimsby. Great job, you two. Ernie Riddle handed out 2 checks that day, and everyone went home very happy. Mr. Grimsby was able to make the repairs to his store, while Levi and Ivy never found out that day exactly how much ice cream or how many toys $1,000 can buy. They got something that was far more important than money: the knowledge that they did the right thing, and they did it together. Hey, Ivy, did you like that story?
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
That's right, friends. Want to start a podcast? Spotify has an easy free platform called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Record and edit your podcast on your phone or computer with ease. Share your podcast on Spotify and all other major platforms. You can even make video podcasts on Spotify. If you want to engage with your audience more, use Q&A and polls. You can earn money through ads and podcast subscriptions. It's completely free, no hidden cost. Give it a try. Visit www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. We love making our podcast, and working with Spotify has been amazing. Did you learn a lesson from this story?
If so, what was it?
And parents, do your kids have a story idea?
Leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, the idea, and your kid's name for a chance to join Levi and Ivy on their next adventure. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. Come back for more.